Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. How about we take a look at one of my main characters from my doll stories. Do you remember this guy? Yes, it's Chase. And here's his bio. Age 35. Birthday August 29th. Occupation car salesman. Status divorced working on remarriage. Family includes Brandon, his son, Willie, his other son, Billy, his daughter, Jasper, his other daughter, Eleanor, his mom, his adoptive mom. We found another mom, and I'll tell you more about her later. Chance, his dad, CJ, his brother, Chucky, his other brother, which make him a triplet set, and over 100 nieces and nephews. More about that later as well. His hobbies also include winter sports like skiing. As most of you know, I use the date of the day the doll first appears on my page as their actual birthday. And that's why I selected August 29th, because Chase made his debut on my page in a rather interesting predicament. According to his horoscope, Chase is faithful, instinctive, I don't know about that, innocent. He's also supposed to be doting, intuitive, and expressive. I think we need to fix this whole thing here because some of these are not really restrictive of this particular character. But he is a Virgo. Ah, yes, that's much better. Maybe I should have got instinctive too. Okay, here's his tag that says, "Hello, my name is Chase." And then here is his original family photo that he took with his wife, now ex-wife Dina, his son Willie, and his daughter Billy. And this is before he found out about the rest of the family. So let's take a look at this family tree here. Now I can't find my resident directory, so we're gonna have to go by our own, oh boy, unknown for everything. Okay. So you've got the thing here about the brothers that are triplets, Chance or CJ, Chase, and then Chucky. And then you have his wife, Dina. Now, he didn't know about Mia being pregnant with his son, Brandon, at the time they were in high school. So we'll get more into that later. But as you can see, it's a very jumbled up meckly mook of things that Chance is not even really aware of. But anyway, let's get into a little recap about his background. Now, as I stated before, this is Chase with his original family before he found out about his high school sweetheart being pregnant. There's Dina, his wife, now ex-wife. I don't know, it's a lot. And when the story all started with them, Dina was his first baby mama, but actually was the second one. And she'd actually been putting him out of the house on and off again. So they had a really tumultuous relationship after being married. They had two small children because Billy was still in diapers and crawling. And he had already moved on with his side piece, whose name was Madison. Now, every time him and his wife broke up, Dina, he would run back to Madison and stay with her at her apartment. One day, his estranged son, his very first child, found out about him and decided to come into town to try to make good with his father and get him more information. So his mother, who happened to be a talented singer from Mexico, aided and assisted with this endeavor. Of course, when he comes to the family home, he doesn't find his father. He finds his ex-wife or stepmother, and a whole melee ensues because, of course, outside of the window, Chase pulls up and sees this man in the house with his ex-wife, and it's a mess. And so what does he do? That's right. He heads back over to Madison's apartment and decides that he wants to start over fresh with her. And that's when she makes the announcement that she's pregnant. Now, of course, he's just looking for two hots and a cot. And at the time that he was staying with her, there was an intruder. Now, it's alleged as to who the intruder may or may not be. Go back to my doll stories on Dollstagram and try to make your own idea of who that person might be. Anyways, upon him going to the restroom in the middle of the night, the intruder comes in and takes a hold of him. She puts him under by putting chloroform across his nose and mouth. But of course, the whole plan is messed up because Madison wakes up, comes into the room, and accidentally knocks him out of the window, making him crash into the car below, which was her Jeep. Now, this is the first time that Brandon encounters his father at that moment, but because he is knocked unconscious, he doesn't really have anything to say, and Madison's more concerned about her baby father and decides to take him to the hospital, not really speaking to Brandon. Once resuscitated, his doctor tells him that he is suffering from amnesia, and there is really nothing they can do about it. The amnesia was due to the overuse of chlorophyll, who the perpetrator knocked him out with, and then also the fall from the third floor hitting the Jeep below, causing serious neurological damage. That whole diagnosis did not stop Brandon, his oldest son, because he was determined to prove that he fathered children with 6 different women, including his ex-wife or wife estranged. I don't know what to call her, but yeah, that turned into a whole nother saga of things. And this is where we came up with the idea of Fatherhood Litigation's Paternity TV Court Show, where Chase was the first guest to come on that had several baby mamas and multitude of children, all claiming to be his. Here's an intro for the show that I did when I debuted it back in 2018, 2019.
So come on, let me see you get gone. Baby mamas, this your song. Been pregnant for way too long. Now tell the DJ turn it off.
If she a baby mama,
Go ahead.
she gon' do that baby mama.
Work.
She gon'
Wait a damn minute. Wait a damn minute.
Judge Raven Rivers even did a poll online for people who were watching the show to guess as to who the father was. This was Madison's baby, and they thought maybe he was the father of that one. This is Alicia's son, Junior, and they thought he was also the father of that son as well. These are Ariel's twins, Phoenix and Emperor, which they later found out that they were actually the children of CJ, who he found out about as a triplet in his family during the litigation process. And then there was Snow, who was invited by Brandon by way of her mother, Eva, only to find out that they were neither CJ's sons or daughters or Chase's sons or daughter, which is why we found out about Chucky, who is the third part of their triplet. CJ was incarcerated at the time, so they actually used that whole thing to get him out of jail for murder and some other things, because he couldn't have been there to do the other things if he was conceiving these children. So it actually worked out for the best for CJ, one of the triplets. And this is where Eleanor comes in, and we find out that she is the triplet's biological mother, but she also has 8 other children that are all girls, and she chose not to keep the boys because she doesn't like little boys. Landing all 3 boys in the foster care system, which explains a lot of their behavior from very young age into their adulthood years. So it was proven that Chase was not the father of Ember and Phoenix, Snow, and what's the other little boy's name? Oh, Junior. It did negate the fact that it was proven that he was the father of Madison's baby, who is later named Jasper, and Brandon, who was before Dina. So she didn't want to stick around to find out any other lies he was telling, and she ended up getting divorced and moving on with Malachi. Now, remember what I told you. Chase had amnesia, so he doesn't even remember cheating on his wife at the time with Madison. He doesn't remember Brandon being with his mother in high school. So he decides he's going to take some co-parenting classes and just try to be the best father he can be until he regains his memory, which he never does. He goes on to become the doting father, taking very good care of Billy and Willie as best he can, showing up for all school events, including camp send-offs, things that he never did before when he was married to Dina. Dina, of course, notices this new behavior and is happy about it, but she doesn't want to give up her lover in Malachi. So she makes sure that the guys are good with each other and friendly and cordial when the kids are around. And she makes sure to only have conversations with Chase about the children and not to cross or blur the lines between the two of them in their relationship. Okay, now fast forward a couple of years, Dina decides to sell their marital home and split the profits between herself and her husband because she was a stay-at-home mom, so she never worked. And then she decides she's going to move in with Malachi, and he's not exactly happy about it, but he knows it has to be done. Dina and Chase split custody 1 week on, 1 week off with Billy and Willie, and then she moves in with Malachi, who also has a son that's around the same age as Willie, and he is a widower, so their son is always there. So she becomes like a stepmom to him, and family looks great for the most part. The children get along well with each other, the dads get along well with each other, and of course, every once in a while, Chase gets a little jealous because of the affection she's showing towards Malachi. Chase has no words that can be spoken because everybody in town knows how badly Chase treated Dina when they were married, treating and scandalous things and having babies outside of the marriage. It was a whole mess. Now, you remember the other baby that Madison had? She ended up giving up that baby for adoption to a lesbian couple named Violet and Gretchen. And Chase decided to have a relationship with the two of them as a married couple, as their surrogate father, and wanted to be in his daughter Jasper's life. So he ended up getting a custody arrangement where when the women went out of state for whatever kind of events, he would always get custody and take care of Jasper, which of course made it even more fun because Billy and Jasper are practically the same age. One winter, Chase offered to keep all the children himself while Malachi and Dina went off to France for a job that Malachi had received for a cooking school. And Dina did not want to tell Chase what happened out there in France because she was embarrassed by it. But all in all, they ended up breaking up. And then she had to beg Chase to be able to move back into his new townhouse that he got for himself and his children after their divorce. While Malachi ended up staying in France to continue with his school, their son ended up going to the biological mother's house to stay while he finished out his school, and Dina moved back in with Chase and Billy and Willie. Only after a few months, an incident happened, and Willie, of course, was happy about his parents getting back together, but Dina wasn't too sure about if it was too soon. Nonetheless, he made sure to try to keep in her good graces and decided to treat her to a nice dinner and invite her out to a couple's Valentine's Day trip a year later. Now, mind you, since that one incident a year ago, they hadn't slept together. But there was something about the romantic part about being at a ski chalet in the snow, by the fireplace. One thing led to another because, of course, he came with all the gifts and love bombing that he could. He even took her on a snow sled, horse-drawn carriage ride one evening, and that was enough to seal the deal because all the feelings came fluttering back in Dina's soul, and she realized that this was her soulmate. Okay, and now for the update. Chase's used car sales is booming right now. Like, he has 4 lots in the area of the BDT. Check out his latest commercial.
Drivers, start your engines!
Thank you.
Nowadays, he is more of managing than actually selling cars with a bunch of staff to take care of his work stuff so that he has more time to do family stuff. And whenever his son Brandon is in town from college, he makes sure to get Jasper, Billy, and Willie all together so they can take family photos to make memories. It's so funny how most people think that Brandon is Jasper's dad because they actually look alike, where they both have two different moms because Brandon's mom is Mia and Jasper's mom is Gretchen. Chase is extremely happy with life right now because whenever he gets his entire family together and all his kids get to play with each other and enjoy each other's company, they really act so silly and he can't help but smile. Okay, so remember that townhouse I was telling you about that he bought when Dina and him split up maybe like the 15th time, whatever, and she moved in with Malachi? Well, he took that townhouse and he's doing renovations on it now because he wants to make room so that each of the children, Billy, Willie, and Jasper, have their own rooms, and then also to give some extra space for Dina, who is now going to be moving back in permanently, and he wants to make sure that she feels welcome. So he had a bright idea to build her a she shed in the backyard. They live on 4 acres of land, and this will now become her office space for her event planning job. I think I saw Chase running around here somewhere on Main Street. Let's see if we can catch up with him and see what he's up to. Oh, is that him? Chase? Oh, there you are. Hey, Chase, how's it going? What are you up to? Oh, T. Fanny's, our premier jewelry store in the BDT. What are you getting from there? Is that an engagement ring? Are you planning to propose to your ex-wife? I'll take that as a yes. Well, good luck, buddy. Chase left the Brianna's boutique bag on Dina's bed for her with instructions on getting dressed and meeting her at her favorite restaurant downtown. When he arrived, she was very happy to see him, but could tell he was hiding something behind his back. She decided to just play it off and act like it was just another dinner, but she knew he was up to something. Chase hides his Tiffany's bag under his chair, trying not to let Dina see what it is, and then pretends like there's nothing going on as he presents her with her favorite color roses. Dina assumes this is what he was hiding behind his back and doesn't pay attention to what he's doing on the floor as she inhales the beautiful scent of the flowers. He sneakily reaches down below his chair to get his Tiffany's bag and present her with her gift. Chase professes his undying love for Dina and explains that because of his amnesia, he should not be held accountable for previous misdoings, and he promises never to do anything like that to hurt her again. He pauses for a moment to hear her answer, but she is speechless. As tears well up in her eyes, Chase is not exactly sure how to read this emotion. Should he put the ring on her finger? Should he continue on? Or should he just wait a minute and give her a second to think and process? When Dina pulls her hand away from him to wipe the tears from her eyes, she looks out the portal window, and that's when Chase goes in for a hug, hoping that she will come around eventually. But he's not sure what to do now. Give her the ring, back off, pretend like none of this even happened. So, did she say yes? Did she not say anything at all? What happened? You're going to have to stay tuned to find out. Check us out over on Instagram for more information about Chase and Dina, but I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with them either. Comment below what you think should happen. Should Dina take Chase back and they get remarried with a big wedding? Should they take a little bit of time and just date for a while? Maybe her move out or him move out to see how things go? Or should they just call it quits? Because they did this before, remember? And it didn't go very well. And that's it. So if you have enjoyed this video, please take a moment to comment, like, share, and subscribe. And we will see you here next time on At Mama Bear Jenny Dolls.